And it takes a second. Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, everybody. I'm Robin from Roamingwithrover. Thank you so very, very much for joining us this morning. And remembering that we do have a different time frame today. And with us this morning, we've got Miss Salena Baca. Thank you so very much for joining us, Salena. And I do know that we have a little bit of a delay, as those of you who have to get through the commercials so you can get to us. But we have with us this morning Lisa, and good morning, Bridget. And Nightbot let you in. Nightbot is lurking in the background, and he was giving us fits last night. So I hope he has got off his high horse and will behave today, because it was a nightmare last night with Nightbot. But he has let Miss Bridget in this morning. Oh, and there's Miss Batman. Batman is a very, very new crocheter. You are going to get a lot out of today's show. Good morning, Miss Ivy. Ivy is also another creator. She does a lot of pattern creations. I think you're going to get a lot out of today's show as well. Hello, Donna. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate you all coming in this morning, and I appreciate that you helped us support Salena with the different time chase. Oh, good morning, Melissa. Hello, hello. Thank you all so very much for coming in this morning. I know we had to take a moment and get through the commercials, and I want to remind you guys that when I look away from the screen, I am not ignoring our honored guest. I am looking at a screen that my old decrepit eyes can actually see the comments, because y'all know I'm half blind. Okay. Good morning. Hi, Debbie. Hello. Thank you for popping in. Hey, there's Susan as well. Okay, so we have, oh, I'm so excited. Let's make you bigger. You're way too small. How did that happen? That's a little big. That's a little big. Okay. Oh, hi, Sally. Hello. Okay, we've got Miss, that is a little big. I don't know. I usually like the big screen. There we go.
Now I'm in the middle. There we go.
That's much better.
Very up close. I feel like this is a very intimate conversation now.
Ready for your close-up. Hi, Jennifer. Hey, Mary. Oh, we've got the whole gang in this morning. All right. So this morning, I'm so excited. We've got Miss Salena in with us today. You guys, everybody knows Salena. Everybody knows Salena. And I was just telling her that I've got one of my favorite books, which Miss Salena has authored. And you guys know I crochet a lot, but I still consider myself kind of an advanced beginner. I prolific, but not high level crocheter. And so it's nice that there are patterns out with beautiful things that are still easy to do. So Salena, why don't you just give us a little overview about your pattern writing?
Sure. Yeah, I love that. You kind of said in so many words that I have, very simplistic, very straightforward, designs, because that's definitely what I like. Not that I don't appreciate things that are, expert level and lace and, just every row is a different thing and shaping. I love things like that, but I don't love creating things like that. I like to write patterns for things that, I can still be part of the land of the living. I don't need like silence. No one talk to me. I need a quiet corner and no distractions, and I have to count. That's just not my style. So I really enjoy writing patterns for things that don't look basic. I don't want them to look like, oh, well, that's just, nothing special. I want it to look like it's intricate, or look like it's detailed, or it's textured. But when you actually go to work, whatever it is, whether it be a sweater or an Afghan or a pillow or a bag, I really want people to look at the instructions and go, oh, I can like watch my favorite show, or I can still be in the same room with my friends or my kids. And, I can still follow along with this thing. So that's very much my style. I want to enjoy life and be part of life and make something that I love.
That is wonderful, because actually I was just telling the girls last night, I'm working on two very intricate projects, and I don't have anything where I can just sit in the room and visit and watch TV. So I actually have to come up with a project that I can do that with. And I think that's very important, with our little brains, that we have something that, if we're working on something very hard, we have to work on something that isn't so hard on our brains at the same time. Do you work on more than one project at a time, or are you a single project person?
It depends. I kind of go back and forth, because crochet is my job. Sometimes I, have a really large project that, where I have a lot of things that I have to get done in a certain period of time. So it all depends on, what I have energy for, what I have time for, and what I'm interested in. I don't like to crochet things that drain me or make me feel exhausted or make me feel like I'm not enjoying myself. So even if I'm writing a new pattern, if I feel that way, then typically I'm like, well, if I'm not enjoying myself, then how can I ask someone else to, invest their time and effort and energy into this?
Oh, wow.
So yeah, like right now I have, let me hold on. Yep. I'm only working on one thing right now. It's really simplistic. It's really straightforward. Again, that's how most of my things are. But I'm really enjoying how it's coming together. So I'm just focusing on that. But sometimes, I'll have a sweater going and I kind of get bored with it. And so I'm like, ooh, I have an idea for this, or, oh, somebody's birthday is coming up, so let me make that. So it's just what I'm interested in. And I don't really have any hard and fast rules for how many things I'm working on.
Nice. That is interesting, because it's your job. I can see how you could get wound up in doing a lot of different things at one time, and not always enjoying it, because you've got deadlines, and any deadline that I have is self-imposed. I've got Christmas, or I've got a birthday. And so that's kind of a self-imposed thing. But you've got real hard deadlines. And how long does it take? That's something I never thought of before. How long does it take for this to get from your brain to something I'm holding in my hand?
It's different over the years. So that wasn't my first book. That particular book was one of the first few that I put together. And that particular one was a collection, a collaboration. So I think I only had 2, maybe 3 patterns in that. That one took 2 years from conception to it's on the shelves. And so for 2 years, it was, what yarns are we going to use? What is this book going to look like? What colors do we use? What does the set look like? Is everybody writing in a format that is going to flow really well together? Is everybody formatting in this particular way? So yeah, that one took about 2 years. And that was, I think, one of the last big collections I put together, just because I enjoyed that process. I love that book. But what I learned from that was that I no longer wanted to author books with 12 different collaborators. That was, it was very difficult, not because anyone made it difficult, just because that's, you're working on one thing with one deadline has one look, and you're doing it with 12, 15 other people. So now, in contrast, my last book, shameless shout out.
Not shameless.
This was shameless shout out. My last book, Learn to Crochet. I'm the author. I did 100% of the content in here. And this still took me from start to finish, from conception to in the shelves, about 1.5 years. So I enjoy the process better when I'm the only contributor, just because I think that any aspect, from start to finish, there's less time involved. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but
it makes sense. It's your product. Your name is going on it. You've got the control over what's happening. And I can see when you're doing a collaboration, even collaborating with 2 or 3 people would be difficult. When you're collaborating with 10, 12, 15 people, just the timing and all the things that can go wrong is got to be much more stressful. I'm a bit of a control freak, and I can't imagine counting on 15 other people to, you always assume that they're going to do what they say they're going to do, but things happen. And so, that would be very, very difficult.
Yeah, no, and I don't mean difficult. It was not a negative experience. These are people that I love and appreciate and admire. So, I mean, every bit of that. And I have so much respect for them, love everything that we did. But what I learned is that, all right, that was a great experience. And now I'd like to do less collaborations and more projects where, I'm the sole contributor.
Yeah, I can absolutely see that.
Yeah, well, and it takes about, I don't think I could put together something like this in less than a year and a half from start to finish.
Yeah, because you're writing all the patterns. So over your pattern writing career, how many patterns do you think could you roughly say you've created?
Oh, sure. Well, I love to post all of my patterns on Ravelry, so you can.
Oh, I love Ravelry.
I love Ravelry. Ravelry is my jam. I like it. I think in terms of individual patterns that I have access to, because there are a lot of patterns I wrote for yarn companies and things like that I've kind of lost track of. It's over 420 now. I think just the ones that I can point to. Goose says hi to everyone, by the way.
Hi. Max will be saying hi back here pretty quick.
I'm sure.
He hears action in the kitchen, so that's where his focus is right now.
Oh yeah. I'm sure that someone has just walked by and
he's on alert. He's got to protect you.
That's right.
Awesome. Oh, I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Very loud. He's very loud.
Oh no. Max is very loud. Max is about 150 pounds. He's a mastiff. Yeah. He's looking out the window, so he's likely to be saying hello here in a moment.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, absolutely.
You guys all know Max. He frequents my lives on a regular basis. But this morning, Joe decided to jump up in my lap, so he's taking a nap in my lap this morning, and that's highly unusual. And we don't usually hear from him. Unless Max gets to barking about something, and then sometimes Joe will chime in. But yeah, we're very dog friendly. Roaming with Rover, we're very dog friendly on this channel.
Yeah, Goose often has one or two things to say, no matter what I'm doing. So
we love our fur babies for sure. They are. We work around them. We move around them. We have to make sure things are set up the way that is comfortable for them.
That's right. I get it.
Oh my goodness. So that is a lot of, and I say this time and again, I will never ever create a pattern unless I have messed somebody else's pattern up so badly it is no longer recognizable as the original pattern. And trust me, I have done that. But just look at my first knit hat. It actually turned out kind of cute, but doesn't look like the original pattern at all. But I can't even fathom having that many ideas. How do you do it?
Well, for myself, I think everyone has a different creative process. There are different reasons, people may write patterns. And I think for me, the reason I started writing patterns was that, when I learned how to crochet, I learned just by sight. Someone told me, do this and make this. And I didn't know what stitches were called. I didn't even know that patterns were written down. And I certainly didn't know how to read written patterns. And so I didn't really know how to do a lot in crochet until far later on in life. When I saw, a friend of mine was like crocheting a hat in the round from the top down. And I'm like, you can do what? I've only ever made blankets. How do you do that? So there were slowly just some things that I learned, but I couldn't figure out how to make them. And so I took the long and winding road of, kind of teaching myself how to do things. in a way that I felt like I could understand. So I would work things and kind of create things that that made sense to me, and then I would write that down, and then that's kind of how I got into writing patterns the way that I did. It was just, you know, kind of, again, a long and winding road of me trying to figure things out, and it was a really hard process. Yeah.
Interesting. That's cool. You know, and I was thinking the other day of the vest debacle. I've just made Mr. a vest, and my very first. And the whole time I was making this, I kept going, I wonder why they didn't do it like this. I wonder why they didn't do it like this. So I can kind of see how a pattern could grow from one thing to a different thing. And I might be picking your brain because I still wonder, why didn't they do it like this?
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm so glad that you said that, because in my process of learning how to even follow patterns, that's how I was like, well, I'm just going to write my own patterns because I don't know how to do any of this. What I realized, and so much of the reason that I started the American Crochet Association and I started teaching, was that it took me a really long time to figure out that there are standards and guidelines in crochet.
Yes.
There are formats that allow us to that we can point to, and that way we can write for a universal audience. That means anyone can read and follow and understand what we're doing. And it doesn't take away from our own individuality and creativity. It's kind of like, you know, think about it this way. Most recipes follow a certain format. Here's the ingredients, here's how much you need, and then here are the steps you follow. And it doesn't take away whatsoever from the creativity of what that person is bringing to the table. And crochet is no different. So when I learned that, when I started applying that concept, I realized, oh man, there's really, you know, there are some foundations in crochet that we can learn and follow. And then when you learn and follow those, like, if anything, it just makes me more creative because now I've learned a baseline of something. So it's like the possibilities are endless. Now I'm not hindered by, well, I'm just kind of an advanced beginner, so I'm going to stay in that realm. Because you've learned, you have a foundation that gives you knowledge and confidence and skill to do whatever you want. So I think that that's something I feel that I've figured out that I share with others that hopefully will just expand the crochet world.
Yeah. So you have, how many books do you have? 8, 10, 100?
Eight. I don't know.
Where
I should know, but yeah, I don't have that number off the top of my head. I think it's 8.
I think that's what I saw in my research. Where can we purchase your books?
Sure. You can purchase my books anywhere books are sold. My publisher is a global publisher. So if you go into a Barnes and Noble or a Joann, or if you buy from Amazon, or again, anywhere books are sold, you can even go to your local library. If they don't have it there, you can ask for it.
Oh, that's a good idea. I know that I know I got mine from Amazon. And I also know, and you know, I don't know if everybody knows this. I'm an old lady. And I struggle with technology. Everybody on here knows how much I struggle with technology. And so sometimes when I learn things, people go, yeah, I've known that for 100 years. But I just recently found out that when you buy something like this on Amazon, you can heart the author, and then they will send you information. So I hearted that author on this. That would be you. And so it sends me, hey, did you know that she has this as well? So it lets me know when there's other stuff. So that makes me very, very happy.
Oh, good. Yeah. I noticed that too. There are certain authors that I follow, and so that I like, and there's a way that you can find and follow them on Amazon. And even it like, and that what I like about it as well is that if they have like an active blog, you can see all of their blog posts there as well. So it's a pretty nice if they link it up that way and all that. So I think that's pretty cool. You can see what people that you like, you can see what they're actively doing.
Great. Oh, and Melissa just got one recently from Joann's. So Lady Crafter wants to know on Ravelry. We just look you up under Salena Baca on Ravelry.
That's right. Salena Baca Crochet on Ravelry.
I will be looking for you there. Perfect. Yeah. Oh, okay. And Melissa just purchased some of your patterns there. And again, I love Ravelry because you can, my favorite thing about Ravelry is I can buy a pattern and it keeps it right there. I don't have to figure out where I have kept the thing. And I can also heart patterns. And I can see how other people have made, how it looks. I don't know how many times I have looked at a pattern and I've gone, that is the most horrible thing I have ever seen. And then I look at it in that somebody's done in a different yarn and I go, oh, it's beauteous. It just needs a different color or a different yarn. So
that's right. Absolutely.
Ravelry is the bomb for that stuff. So yeah, absolutely. Yes. And usually if you find a pattern in there you like, it'll click you right to that person also.
Yes. Yeah. I like how integrated everything is. I like that it's, it can house anything pertaining to, crochet or yarn, or you can even put all of your crochet hooks on there. You can put all of your yarn on there. You can have a running tally of all the patterns and projects that you've done. It's
in theory. And once I figure out how to do it. I have a young person in the house. She'll show me how.
It takes a minute. I feel like, and this is just my perception, but Ravelry has so many words, like it's very busy. But when you just break it down to, all right, the only thing I need to look at are the menus up here and the menus here. Let me just focus on those. And then from there, I feel like it's pretty intuitive, what they call things and how things work. So that's my advice from someone who always felt really overwhelmed whenever they went there.
It's a little overwhelming. But I'll tell you what, when I ran out of yarn in the middle of a project for Miss Batman, and found out it had been discontinued by the manufacturer, somehow I stumbled on something on Ravelry that gave me a list of places that carried that yarn, and I was able to find it and finish the project.
Absolutely. That's one of my favorite tools as well. Like, just in general crochet, but whenever I want to write a pattern for something, or, decide if I'm going to use a yarn for something, I'll go to Ravelry, find that yarn, and look at all of the projects made with that yarn.
I do that when I find a yarn on sale. What have people made with it?
That's right. Okay. That's right. Yeah, that's exactly what I do, because it really helps to see what is this yarn capable of. So just so many reasons that it's a fantastic resource. Yeah.
How do you decide what yarn to use when you're making a project?
I think that the experience. Yeah. There's only so many fibers, there's only so many weights. And so I think that when you've crocheted with enough of them long enough, you start to just kind of, you have an understanding for what certain fibers and certain material, what materials you want to make. Like, for example, I just made this sweater that you can wear. You can see the top part of it.
Let's make you smaller.
There. So here's my sweater. It's the big cozy cardigan.
Let's make you just you.
Sorry?
There. Let's make you just you. Now we can just see you. Let's see your pretty sweater again.
So this is the big cozy cardigan.
Oh, I love it.
It's big and it's cozy and it's a cardigan. So big cozy cardigan. So for example, I knew I wanted to make this. And so I thought about, well, what yarn do I want to use? And I knew that I didn't want it to take weeks to make. I wanted it to take a less amount of time, but I didn't want to have a yarn that was so big and bulky that it didn't have a drape and a coziness. Yeah. So that's where I was like, all right, well, I think I want a yarn in this particular weight category. And I just wanted to see. And so from there, I just looked at, well, what yarns are currently available that I don't think are going to be discontinued by the, so that people can enjoy this for a while. And also a yarn weight that, whether the yarn is discontinued or people just want to substitute it in some way, is it going to be easy for them to do that? And then, this does take time and effort, and, you are buying a bit of yarn to do this. So I wanted it to be comfortable. I wanted it to be durable. I wanted it to be something that If you needed to, you could put it in the washing machine, you could put it in the dryer, and it's not going to really affect the yarn too much and the fabric too much. Yeah, so all of those things help me narrow down what yarn weight I was going to look at, what fiber content. And then from there, yeah, I can go to a place like Ravelry and kind of do some research, or go to some of the major yarn lines, commercial yarn lines, and see what's available. And, then it's just a matter of feeling the yarn in person and maybe making a couple test swatches and going from there.
That is gorgeous. So that particular pattern is available where?
It is. Well, you can find this one in my Ravelry shop right now. This is a brand new one.
Cozy yarn,
big cozy cardigan.
Big cozy cardigan.
Yeah.
I gotta write it down. You guys know my brain. This is nothing new. I spend every one of these writing things down. That is so pretty.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, that is gorgeous. Yeah, so pretty. Yes, Sharon, it is. It is just beautiful. That's the kind of thing that this time of year we just like to snuggle up in stuff.
Yes.
Salena lives on the same side of the country that I live on, so we're all freezing right now. We are all freezing right now. So, Salena, another something that I know you are very, very proud of. Why don't you talk about oh my gosh, my brain.
Long name, amazing results.
Thank you.
The American Crochet Association. We just call it ACA for short.
There you go.
Such a mouthful. Yeah. Yeah, the American Crochet Association. Thanks for bringing it up. I love chatting about it. So if you've never heard of me before, if you've never heard of the ACA, I'll just kind of give you the speed dating version. Again, I learned to crochet when I was 5. I crocheted in the dark, just kind of with minimal resources until I was about 25 years old. So, most of my life before I started realizing, hey, there are written patterns. There are different yarns. You don't have to use an H hook for everything. Does a chain count as a stitch or not? I mean, I really learned the hard way. And I became a little obsessed with crochet, maybe a little more than most. I put a lot of time and effort into it. It brought me a lot of joy, but also I felt like, by the time I was about 25, 28, I was like, I've been crocheting I should really know more than I do. This is ridiculous. And so I just taught myself so many different things. And I worked in this industry for long enough that I started picking up crochet jobs. So I've helped to launch magazines. I've been an editor. I've helped produce magazines. I became an author. And then I started kind of teaching some things. And I felt like I learned enough to help other people have the foundation, have the footing that I wish I had whenever I started crochet. And so I started combining and compiling all these things that I learned, and I put them all together at the American Crochet Association. So the reason it's called the American Crochet Association is that there are standards and formats in the yarn world, in the crochet world. And the formats and terms that I use are all American Standard English. And so I just wanted to be very clear about that. So it's not the kind of place where it's like, this is for Americans and that's it. No, it's just, I wanted to be very clear about what methods and terms and even numerical system we use, because it's, it's different in other regions. Mm-hmm. So yeah, at the American Crochet Association, if whatever you want to do in crochet, we have something that will help you. My goal is to help crocheters help themselves so that crochet can be passed through the generations in better hands than we found it. I want crocheters to be able to crochet more, crochet better, crochet faster, and with fewer mistakes. So if you want to learn crochet, if you want to build your crochet skills, if you want to write a crochet pattern, if you want to make your crochet items and sell them, if you want to teach crochet, we have a very specific workshop that will give you everything that you need to know so that you can do that successfully?
And I have, just from watching a few of your videos, I have learned, because I'm trying to help. I'm trying to help Batman learn how to crochet. She's a very, very new crocheter.
Mhm.
Miss Morgan, I'm trying to teach her how to crochet. And I have learned a lot from watching your videos of
Okay.
things, of what not to do. And I think that's very important, because a lot of us have somebody in our life that says, Grandma, show me how to crochet. Or Miss Robin, will you teach me how to do that? And I want to teach them, but I don't want to teach them any bad habits.
Mm.
And sometimes that's the difference between them learning how to do something and learning how to love something. Because crochet, I think, is one of those things, and this is just my opinion. Crochet is one of those things that you can do or you can do well. And I think a lot of muggles, they look down their nose at crochet. And that's because a lot of people don't crochet well. And they put out some
Mm.
products that are they're just not nicely done.
Mm.
And I think if they're taught correctly without all the errors, then we'll put out better product that looks nicer. And then the public will become more accepting of crochet.
Yeah.
And so, and then it's not as frustrating for the new crocheters who will then embrace crochet.
That's
And
an
I know,
interesting perspective. Yeah, I guess I don't. I don't think about it that way. I guess when I think about teaching people crochet, I think about how frustrated I was that I didn't know what I didn't know, and there were a lot of things that I did that were difficult, and I taught people exactly the way I was taught. And the way I was taught was, all right, I'm going to teach you to crochet. You're going to make a granny square.
Right.
And so many people, even today,
granny squares.
Right. And I feel like that was one of the first mistakes that I realized as I became a professional teacher. That was one of the first things that I was like, you know what? I feel like this is a granny square. When you just look at the definition of what it is, it's an intermediate level pattern. And I'm not saying that you can't do it if you're a beginner and you just picked up a hook today. But what I am saying is that it is so advanced, and there's so much that you have to assume about even understanding what it is that you're creating, that you might be a beginner and you might replicate that granny square, but you will have no idea what you're doing. Right. And you will have no idea how to take those stitches and those skills and what you learned about stitch repeats and increasing rounds and all of that. You will have no idea how to apply that to other things.
Right.
And so, yeah, I like to say that, like, we just need to completely disrupt the crochet realm in terms of how we even pass this through, because it's so disheartening to see people want to learn crochet and then they get a lesson from a loved one that probably starts with, well, let's just chain 1,000, or let's make a scarf, or let's start with this blanket you saw on Pinterest, or let's make granny squares. And then that person is like, I don't feel like, you know what? Maybe crochet just isn't for me.
Exactly.
And so many people give it up just because the lesson they're given is so advanced and it doesn't really teach basics, that they feel like it's them and they give up. So that's what I want to disrupt. I want to get over that.
Yep. But no, I agree with you. I think there's so many poorly written patterns out there. And, in fact, Batman called, I was talking to her yesterday, and she says, I've started crocheting a sweater. And I'm like, oh, okay, what yarn are you using? And whose pattern is it? And thankfully she got a hold of a good pattern written by a good pattern writer, because, and I told her, I says, hon, there's a bazillion patterns out there. And there's a lot of people writing patterns that have no idea what they're doing. They have no business writing patterns. And that's the quickest way to dishearten yourself from making something, because somebody doesn't know how to write a pattern. And so she
Yeah.
lucked out and hooked up with a good one. And I don't want to dissuade anybody from moving on to the next step, but I don't want them to get hooked up with somebody that doesn't know what they're doing, because I get frustrated with poorly written patterns. They drive me insane. And I think it's a crime, because we spend hours and hours and hours and hours and a lot of money
Yeah.
on product to create these things, and we think it's us that is the problem. And
Well, that's why I like to share certain I am not mad at anyone who wants to create or write patterns or share something that they've learned. I'm not mad at I don't fault anyone for I think it's fantastic that people can share in that sense. What I would like to help with is just sharing. And so much of the information that I share, so much of it, I just make it free because I just want it to be available. So I am not here to nickel and dime people on information that is, a lot of it is, I don't want to say common knowledge, but a lot of it is, there are standards, there are universal guidelines.
Use the standards.
Well, a lot of people do. I think that's the thing. Yeah. A lot of people don't know that there are standards. A lot of people don't know.
If they're going to be writing patterns, take 10 minutes to do some research.
I hear you, but I'm not going to be mad at people for doing that. But I would like to say, hey, there's a better way. Can I share some free information with you? And that way, we're going to create a space to where if anybody wants to write a crochet pattern, as long as it's not a copyright infringement, and as long as they're not doing things that are illegal, because in this space, in the publishing world, whether the minute you post anything anywhere, you really have to be careful of copyright infringements and things.
Right.
But outside of that, whoever wants to do this, I think that it's wonderful. And I would like to make sure that whoever would like to do it has the tools so that they can produce things that a global audience can read, follow, and understand. And that's only going to give everyone a better experience. If you're writing patterns that are, here's a good example. There's no end stitch count, or you don't know how to use repeat symbols in an effective way. So your pattern literally mathematically is not going to make sense. You're going to get people who are angry with you or who will ask a lot of questions. And rightly so. Like, you said chain 3, but you didn't tell me whether or not it counts as a stitch. Now there's a lot going on. And I can't follow this because I'm questioning it. I like to teach people so that when you write a pattern, you get no questions because everyone can read it and follow it and understand it. That's a good problem, for no one to contact you because they can follow your pattern. That's the environment that I want to create. So I don't fault people, but I would very much like to provide information that helps people.
Yep. No, I agree. And stitch count at the end of a row.
It's universal.
They won't do it.
Doing it. You should be doing it.
If I look at a pattern and they won't give a stitch count, I move on, because I'm not going to know what I need. And I know myself, and I know I need that stitch count. And if they don't provide it, I know that I'm going to struggle with this pattern. So there's lots of other patterns out there. So I move on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that when you know better, you do better. And that is anyone for anything. And I think that that's just one excellent way that's something you should learn when you're learning crochet. And that way, that's part of my lesson plan. That's part of what you teach people. And that way you can clearly see, there may be something you see on the internet, you're on Pinterest and you're like, oh man, I'm going to make this sweater. I love the picture. But what I teach people is, okay, now let's look at the pattern. You should be looking for things before you just pick up yarn and a needle and just, dig in. Does it have things like, is it telling you if there's rows and rounds? Are there different sections? Does it transition through those sections? Are the repeat symbols apparent? Is there an end stitch count? So there are certain things that you should do to evaluate a pattern before you dig in to see, like, I mean, I like the end result, but
Mhm.
have they provided this in a way that I can effectively make that end result?
Mhm. And the other thing is go to Ravelry,
Yeah.
look at the people's notes that have made the pattern.
Yeah. That's a
And
good indicator. Yeah.
yeah.
Are there other projects and how is this pattern rated? There's, you
Mhm.
can put a star rating on Ravelry. So if there's a
Mhm.
pattern and, it's been out for a period of time, 6 months, a year, 2 years, and there's
Mhm.
only 2 projects and both those projects are like, 1 star, do not recommend, then,
Mhm.
maybe that'll be some,
Yeah.
maybe that'll help you make your decision.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So how do we join your organization?
Yeah, so the American Crochet Association, like I said before, there are lots of different courses and workshops, and they're very specific. This is not an organization that has a new workshop every month. That's not what we do. So we very specifically have very specific lessons and courses that will help you accomplish something. So again, it depends on what you want to do in the crochet world. Do you want to sell what you make? Do you want to write patterns? Do you want to teach people? Do you just want a course that's going to help you understand and build your skills? Do you want to learn crochet? You can do all of those things when you go to AmericanCrochetAssociation.com. We also have something that's called the Crochet Membership, and that is for literally anyone who crochets, whether you just started crocheting or you've been crocheting for 1,000 years and you've made 1,000 things. The Crochet Membership includes the learning path. And the learning path is 12 different courses. It's 48 lessons total. It's something you can do on your own time whenever you want. There's something to read, there's something to watch, there's patterns, there's cheat sheets, there's downloads. So no matter what kind of learner you are, there's information there that's going to help you digest that crochet knowledge into skill. And so that library is just available for you to build your crochet knowledge and skill. But within that as well, at the Crochet Membership, I have something new and fun and different to do every single month. So for example, this month, we're taking votes. Our audience is voting on our next crochet along. And currently this is winning. So we may have the big cozy cardigan as our next crochet along. So we always have something new and fun and different just for our members. Maybe it's a giveaway, maybe it's a stitch challenge or a crochet challenge. There's always something new and different for you to do and follow along in addition to that crochet library. So come on over. All of our popular things have at least a 5-day free trial. So if you are interested in seeing what the Crochet Membership is, for example, you can join it for free, check it out for 5 days. And everything else should be very cost effective. And I do that because I want it to be accessible for crocheters. So no matter what you want to do in the crochet world, click on over, check it out. There should be something there for you.
And the link for that is down below in the description box.
Oh, good. Thank you.
I wanted to ask you, my goal, I have one goal. I don't do New Year's resolutions, but I do have one crochet goal this year.
Mhm.
And that is to learn how to crochet using symbols.
Yeah.
Is that something that you have available on there?
Yes, absolutely. So I teach that in a few different courses. So there's a foundation in crochet, and I take those foundational elements, and there is a little bit of overlap in the different courses that we provide. So for example, if you took our Learn How to Crochet course, something you should learn foundationally speaking is how to read crochet symbols and charts. So that is a big part of that lesson. Every single lesson incorporates that. If you want to build your crochet skills, the patterns include those symbols and charts, and that's going to help you build your crochet skills. If you join the learning path, understanding how to read patterns that have that's part of the learning path. So no matter what you take at the American Crochet Association, those foundational elements are going to be part of the learning objectives. And then again, everything else is very specialized from there. So yeah, if you want to do that specifically, I've got a few different examples for you that you can try.
And so then I've got a question to piggyback on that. The reason I want to do that is because I have struggled with understanding people's written patterns.
Yes.
And I'm wondering if being able to read a symbol chart would be easier than trying to figure out some people's written patterns. Do you think that being able to look at a symbol chart, if I truly understand reading a symbol chart, would be better than trying to decipher someone's written pattern?
It depends on what the pattern is. It depends. I think that again, different people are different learners.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're learning crochet, when you're figuring out what the baseline is, I think it's really important to see a finished project, to see it in action, to read written instructions, the technical instructions, and to see a chart. And then when you do that on a very basic level, you no longer require all of those aspects as you're moving on to either more intricate patterns, or maybe you need it for that. Sometimes there's something that seems difficult because it's like, a whole paragraph of instructions, but really it's just one line of work. And it's because it's a non-repeating stitch pattern. So I guess what I'm trying to say is when you have that in the beginning, when you can see something provided in more than one way, you start to need all of those aspects less.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I'm going to shout out to my Learn How to Crochet book to kind of, show you how I teach. Every single pattern in this, yes, it teaches you how to crochet and there are patterns in here. But when I teach how to crochet, I teach with here's the stitch, here are the instructions, and here's what the stitch pattern is. So every pattern in this book gives you that, because as you're learning to crochet, it's important to see, what am I making? Because maybe that's what drew you to this pattern. If you didn't have a picture, you probably wouldn't care about this at all.
Right.
What does it look like? What do the stitches look like? So I can see, does my fabric look like this? Here are the instructions. Here's the stitch key. And then here's the diagram. So again, when you're learning, all of this is helpful. After you learn, maybe it's still helpful to have all of these pieces. Maybe it's even helpful to have a video sometimes to see like a new stitch or a new technique or something. But the more you have that in the beginning, the less you're going to need those things for every pattern, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay. I like that. My biggest, where I get stuck a lot of times is when I'm doing a more intricate stitch, where do I put my hook to start?
Yes.
Because that makes a difference.
Yes. And that's why, oh my God, you know what you may enjoy. And I think a lot of people take offense to this whenever you've been crocheting for a while, you could probably crochet an expert level thing. So I don't mean this in a negative way, but
tell me.
Everyone, it doesn't matter how long you've been crocheting, will benefit from going through my Learn How to Crochet course at the American Crochet Association. And so many
basics that I miss.
Because those basics are covered. Whenever we're starting a new row, we're chaining this. Does it count as a stitch or not?
Right.
Whether it does or not, where does your hook go? Whenever you're working in a round, either a continuous round or a joined round, we're chaining this or not. Does it count or not? Where does my hook go? And those are those foundational elements that I teach there. If you want, I'd love to just gift you the course and you could go through it and tell me what you think.
Really?
Of course. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I would love that.
My gift.
Oh, you're going to make me cry.
Oh, don't cry.
Oh my God, I would love that.
It would be my pleasure, honestly.
Oh, Salena, I would love that.
Yeah. And again, like, I think I don't mean any negativity in that.
No.
Learn How to Crochet course.
I feel like it's all those little, and I don't mean like little steps, but I learned to crochet when I was 7 years old, and I don't remember from the very first little thing that my grandma taught me in the back of the car to making a blanket. I don't remember any of that in between stuff. And on a daily basis, I am looking up. Now, how do I do that? Because, and like you were saying, when is it that you count as a stitch, and when do you, I know when I'm doing my 3, you count it as a stitch, but if it's 1 or 2, you don't. But I just looked that up a few months ago because I feel like I'm relearning all those basic things because I either never learned it or I have forgotten it along the way.
Yeah.
And so it's like I feel like I'm reteaching myself the basics of this because I want my projects to look like they're done by somebody who knows what they're doing, not just by somebody who's throwing it together. And I want to be proud of what I've created. And you have to know the basics in order to do that. I am so excited that you've done that for me.
I'm of course. It is my pleasure.
I tell you.
I love crochet so much that it's my pleasure to make it a better experience for other people. And I'm not sitting here saying I'm the expert, I know everything. That's not at all true. I just feel that the things that I figured out at level 1 are things all people should know and have so that they can have a better crochet experience. So that we're not sitting here going,
I can't tell you how excited
I do that? Oh, Robin.
I'm so excited.
Oh, I'm glad. I hope it's a great experience for you.
Yes.
Some things.
I cannot wait to go through
I love that, you're trying to teach other people crochet. And I think that there would be some great information there.
Yeah. Because I want to teach people correctly. I don't want them to make the same mistakes and have to try to relearn. It's so hard to unlearn bad habits. So I want to show them the right way to do things.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so excited. Thank you so very, very much.
My pleasure, Robin.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Would you still want to do that other little thing we talked about?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, now is the perfect time. All right. Let me do this. Okay. So our very, very generous Miss Salena is also, I'm so excited. She is giving away to you guys a signed copy of her brand new Learn to Crochet book. I'm so excited. A signed copy of her brand new Learn to Crochet book. So what we're going to do, because you know me, we're doing this simple, easy. So we're going to have you guys type in the word. We're going to use the word crochet. So wait till I type start. Everybody type in, we're starting right now. Type the word crochet, CROCHET, starting right now. And I'm going to pick, I've written down a number. So I'm going to pick that number and that number, and it's going to be based on what I see on my screen. Oh, I'm so
I'm so glad.
And this, I'm sorry, this is US only, shipping. So sorry, US only.
I know. I really wish there were better options, but
it's just the shipping is so horrible.
One of my pattern, I send a copy to every one of my pattern testers that help me with the book. And I sent one to the United Kingdom, and I think it was $36 to send one book. And I have no way of tracking it. So hopefully it shows up. But so I'd hate to have a giveaway and pay $50 for shipping and have no guarantee of
and don't even know if it's going to get there. I know. I ordered something the other day and it cost far more for shipping than it did for what I bought.
Yeah.
So sorry, you guys.
Oh, wow. Look at everybody who wants to win a copy.
Everybody. Miss Bridget wants to know, are your books available digitally?
Yes.
That's a great question.
Yes. I know that when you are on Amazon, there's a Kindle version. And I was just speaking to my publisher. I think that, I never buy digital books, so I forget what it's called. Is it Goodreads? I feel like there is a place where you can buy digital books, and maybe it's Goodreads. Don't quote me on that. But I need to get to the bottom of that. That's a good question.
See, I think everybody has the same thought process that I do. We want to know those basic things that we should be doing.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you guys want that Learn to Crochet series that's on the American Crochet Association, there's also a free trial with that. So you can log in, look at the lessons, take a few for yourself and see if it's your jam. So, I mean, you don't have to spend any money to get some good resources and to check out who we are and what we do.
Okay. Has everybody had a chance? Yeah, Kindle's great. I love Kindle. Then I don't lose it. Everybody had a chance to put it in there. Okay, let's do stop. I'm so sorry, crazy poppy lady. Stop. Okay, we're going to do stop. All right, let me count. The number I wrote down, and I wrote this down a long time ago, was the number, you probably can't see it. It was the number 14. So I'm going to go on here and I'm going to count. There was a very good question a moment ago while I'm counting. Batman asked, what specific things should I be looking for in a pattern? Because she's really, really new. And so this sweater pattern that she got is the first time she's crocheting from a pattern. And obviously I'm available to help her. And she picked a good pattern. So she'll be fine with it. But what specifically traits should she be looking for in a pattern if she's going to get a pattern?
Yeah. So I think that there's a few things. I think that the first thing that I'm thinking is I want to backtrack just a little bit. And I think it's important to assess what your crochet skills are, and also important to look at a pattern to see what skills are required to complete a pattern. And I'm not saying that, you're a certain crochet skill level and you just have to stick in that level and that's it. I think that what you know and what you can do determines what level you are at. That's what I mean by that. So as you're looking at a crochet pattern, it's really important to see what that pattern is. I'm trying to say this at a beginner or like at a very easy level, an easy accessible level. It's important to see what that pattern is requiring you to do. Are there stitches in there or techniques in there that you've never done before? Like, for example, you may see things like post stitching or lace. You may look at a picture and go, yes, I want to create that. But when you're looking at what is required to do that, is it something that you're going to be comfortable with? Is it going to give you a good experience? Is it going to help you build your skills, or are you going to be frustrated with it? It's one thing to learn as you go with a project that's maybe a little simplistic, like a washcloth. Like, I want to teach myself how to do basket weave, and you're teaching yourself on a washcloth, as opposed to, I've never done basket weave and I love this sweater, so I'm going to make the sweater with basket weave. You may decide you hate that stitch, but now you're 8 inches into a pattern and, So really look at what the pattern is and what's involved in the pattern. And that's going to help you decide whether or not you're going to enjoy it, whether or not you're going to like it, whether or not it's something that you're going to. Nothing is impossible, but you may have to teach yourself on a small level, like a swatch, before you approach it in a larger project, like a sweater or a blanket. So I'll say all of those things matter. Knowing where you're at and what you can do, understanding what you may have to learn, deciding whether or not you want to learn it with this project.
And I do that when I'm looking at a pattern that I want to do. I read through the stitch list because, again, I consider myself kind of an advanced beginner, and yet often it'll say advanced or it'll say intermediate, and I'll read through the stitch list and I'm like, yeah, I know all those stitches. And then it's not always the stitches. Sometimes it's the construction or, something else that makes it more advanced. But as long as I know all or most of the stitches, and then I'll research and see how to do those stitches. Or great. I want to learn. I'll learn a stitch or
Mhm.
two. And if there's only 1 or 2 stitches in a project I don't know how to do, then great. I've learned how to do 1 or 2 more stitches
That's
because
right.
that's the fun. We got to
Yeah.
learn. We got to learn.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
I just learned how to do mosaic from one of the ladies that follow. We did an online class of
Mhm.
learning how to do mosaic crochet. I have fallen in love with it. It's my most very favorite thing to do
Oh,
now.
wow.
And we
Yeah.
did an online live. Somebody taught me live, so I am teachable. We did a live class teaching me to do mosaic, and it was the funnest thing ever.
Oh,
And
good.
it was just
Yeah,
a
I
blast.
love learning new things, and it's
It
good
was
to try. Yeah.
yeah.
Like, is this
And it was
something I'm gonna enjoy?
super easy. And it looks really daunting. It looks really hard. And it was super easy.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
if any of you have been afraid. And then last year, a Crazy Poppy Lady did a Stitch of the Week kind of thing.
Mhm.
And I learned all kinds of things. They were doing a blanket. I did a washcloth every week I did a washcloth stitch.
Mhm.
Just like you said, it's easy to do a washcloth and learn a new stitch. So I did a washcloth every week and learned those stitches. And it
That's right.
was so much fun. It was a great way to learn a new stitch. And if I hated it, I hated it. I had a washcloth. And
That's
I
right.
found some stitches that I just loved.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that's a great tool. That's a great learning tool.
yeah, it was fabulous. Okay, so our winner is Miss Doris. Miss Doris Artman. Yay!
Congratulations.
Congratulations. So, Salena, do you want me to forward her address to you, have her send it to me, or do you want her to send it to you? How do you want to facilitate that?
I think that email may be best to start this off. That way
Mhm.
I can see where it needs to go and how it needs to be dedicated. And we can kind of keep in touch in terms of when this is shipped and all that kind of stuff.
Okay. So, Doris, go ahead and send your. I know you've sent me your email before. Let me get this up here. There, this is it. That's the email. That's my winner's email. So send me your info, your address, and your email, obviously. Send that to me there, Doris. Congratulations. I didn't get my pom-poms down. I have pom-poms. Whee, winner pom-poms. Yay. I'm so happy, Doris. I'm so glad you won. She's one of my thanks. She's one of my bingo players. So
Oh, you really do. Oh, those are fantastic.
Oh
my gosh.
This is for you too, Melissa. Thank you, Melissa. Yeah, so anytime anybody does a donation or wins, we have bingo every Monday night. We play bingo.
That sounds like a lot of fun. Yeah.
We have so much fun. We play 3 games. Miss Dana won last night. She jokes around that she's already won. No point in even playing because I've already won. And she actually won the first time last night she's ever won. So it was a big deal that she actually won.
Oh,
so Miss Doris won today. So yay!
Congratulations, Doris. I hope you love it.
She will. I think she'll get a big kick out of that. I'm so excited. So thank you so very much, Salena, for taking your time and coming on here tonight. Thank you, everybody, for coming in and asking wonderful, wonderful questions. It was a great show today. Who's our guest next week? Let me look real quick. I've already got it set up. Don't forget to join us for bingo, and it's 4:30. I just changed the time, so I always have to remember what the new time is. Oh, it's Jane from Scraptastic Yarns is our guest next week, and it'll be at the regular 8 o'clock time next week. So Jane from Scraptastic Yarns. Don't forget Monday night bingo is 4:30. That seemed to work really well for everybody, starting just a little bit earlier. The East Coast people, they weren't getting done till like after 11 o'clock. So it was a little rough for them. So the little bit earlier time, I think worked better for everybody. And it actually, I wasn't quite as wore out either. Congratulations, Doris. Yay. And hang on one second, Salena, when we hang up here. So we'll see everybody later. Bye-bye.